Hi, my name is Morgan St. Jean, and I'm hanging out with Rob on Front Row Live.
Your voice is kind of different from everyone else that's out there. Like I love that it's like a new, it's a new artist for me, but at the same time, it's a new sound, it's a new voice. Talk to me a little bit about
Oh,
like that tone in your voice and kind of discovering that.
well, thank you. That's very sweet. I have been singing pretty much my whole entire life. I regularly like to tell the story of when I was in like the second grade, I auditioned for the school choir and I got in. And a couple weeks into rehearsal, the director asked me if he could speak to my mom when she picked me up from rehearsal that day. And so I was devastated. I thought I was getting kicked out because I was like, why would he want to talk to my mom? And he ended up telling her that he thought I had some sort of potential and he wanted to train me privately. So that was really how I like got into music, was because this one choir director really believed in me. But my voice, it took me a couple of years to really realize that like maybe it was something special. I think it's weird to like acknowledge that maybe there's something about you that is special or unique. So that took me a second, but it's I'm very grateful for it. It definitely feels like it was just kind of like a gift and it's mine to spread a message with. Um, yeah, I have to do a lot of work to take care of it because it's sort of like raspy and deep. So it's a little bit sensitive sometimes, but it's worth it.
It's interesting because I've heard, other female singers that have like a raspy, deep kind of voice, like that it took them a while to learn to love that voice, just because it wasn't a sound that they kind of imagined themselves singing. Was that the same case for you? Did it take you a while to kind of get used to your sound and kind of be okay with, okay, this is who I am, this is what I sound like?
No one's actually asked me that question before, but now that you bring it up, it definitely took me a while to really grow to love my voice, especially because when I was in middle school and high school, I was doing musical theater because that was sort of the only way that I could do music in school. And my voice is really not a musical theater type of voice. So it was really hard for me to get roles, and I felt like I wasn't as good as the other kids because I had this sort of like rockier, gritty voice and everyone else was doing these like musical theater numbers that I couldn't really sing. So it took a little while, but I'm glad that it is my voice.
And as we move forward with Lola, your new single, when did this song kind of get started? Like, what was it that started the writing process of the song? Was it an idea? Was it a sound? Was it a lyric that you kind of wrote?
Yeah, so I have a list in my phone of different ideas and titles and concepts that I just am constantly updating, like all the time. There's hundreds of different ideas on there. And Lola was an idea that I had in there for a really long time, but I didn't really know what I wanted. I just liked the name and I thought it would be an interesting title, and I didn't really know like what I wanted it to be about. And one day I went to a writing session with some friends and it hadn't really gone well. I felt like I had a vision in my head of what I wanted to write, but it just wasn't. And so I ended up driving home and I was sitting in LA traffic, which takes, hours. And I started just thinking about this idea of Lola and I came up with the little post chorus that says, "Oh, my man is smitten, feeling sweet like cola," that part. And I ended up writing the whole song when I got home in like 20 minutes, just like by myself. It just
Oh.
sort of like flowed out of me. And then it was one of those where I had to go back and be like, what was my subconscious trying to tell me? What is this song saying? And then I kind of put it together what it was really about. But it really started with the title and the name Lola.
And that's kind of cool that you start writing something without really knowing what it is about until you actually kind of listen to the final version. Does that happen a lot with you when you're creating music or when you're writing with other people?
Yeah, it depends on the song. Every song is different, but some of my favorite songs are ones that just like I said kind of fall out of me and I don't really
Mhm.
even know what I'm saying, and then I go back and it almost feels like, the deeper parts of me are trying to tell me something about my life that I need to know. One of my songs that I put out a little while ago, the first song that people really discovered me through was a song called Addicted. And that was
Mm.
sort of the same story. I actually wrote it for a class originally, and I wrote the whole thing, and it was about a relationship that I was still in. So it was this moment where I was like, oh my God, maybe I need to end this relationship based on what this song is telling me.
It's a whole reality check going on here.
Yeah.
Now, as you're writing these lyrics, how do you really figure out the tone that you're going to be singing in it, or what ranges you're going to be hitting, or what runs you're going to be hitting with your voice?
Those things all sort of come together at the same time. I think for me, like I said, I love to start with the title or a concept, but from there, it really is like I'll just sit at the piano and start playing around with different things. And then eventually, if I want to change the key and make it higher because it feels like it needs to be more pleading and desperate, I can do that. Or, production changes a lot too. So for Lola specifically, the song was written just me and piano before I ever brought in a producer. And I spent a lot of time trying to find the right producer because that affects everything. That affects the whole
Right.
tone of the song, and that affects who could sing the song, because if it had different production, maybe it would have sounded better with somebody else singing it. But I knew
Mm.
that it was a song that I wanted to sing, and so I had to find the right producer who could really make it click. But yeah, it really depends with every song, and usually for me it all sort of comes together at the same in the same moment.
And who was that specific producer, and what was it about them that you knew automatically, okay, this is the right one for this track?
So his name is Peter, and we actually were put into a writing session for a different song. And I really just loved his vibe and I loved the sounds that he was using. And I knew that I wanted Lola to have this sort of cinematic, dark, twisted, vibe to it. And he was already nailing that with a different song. So I was like, hey, would you want to try just a chorus of this song and see if it's a vibe? He was like, yeah, I would love to. And he crushed it. So I was like, this is it. You're it. And so I started going into the studio with him and we kind of built it out together. And it was actually crazy. One of my favorite little fun facts about this song that not that many people know is he actually had the idea in the pre-chorus to use the percussion and spell out Lola in Morse code. So it actually spells Lola in the pre-chorus with the
What?
drums. Yeah. And hopefully we did it right. We looked it up online, but don't come for me if it's wrong.
I wonder if anybody will catch it just listening to it.
I know. I don't know. I mean, I would be shocked, but also I don't know Morse code, so I wouldn't.
Right. I mean, who does these days?
Yeah.
That's cool. I like when there's little like secrets like involved
Yeah.
with the production process. I know before I've talked to a band where they said that like they recorded drums with like these like 360 earphones or headphones or something, that like you basically feel
So
like you're
cool.
in the middle of the room with them. So it's like kind of cool when people try things like that. Um,
Yeah,
aside
it's really
from
fun to.
Yeah, no, seriously. Like aside from the Morse code, like have you tried anything differently with this song, or any upcoming material that like kind of took you out of your comfort zone?
Ooh, that's a good question. I think every day I'm trying to challenge myself in the ways that I write. And with producers, when you work with different producers, you kind of naturally get different sounds and different vibes. And for me, to create this EP, to create these songs, I actually sat on Spotify for like hours creating playlists of different things that I liked. And I would
Mhm.
like take notes on the songs and be like, oh, I love this groove. I love this, synth sound. I love this electric guitar, so that I could kind of combine a lot of different things that I like. Because I think when you just try to mimic one artist, or you try to, you're really inspired by one artist, sometimes it can come out like you're trying to copy them. And
Right.
I was really adamant that I wanted it to be this like mesh of all these different inspirations and influences. And I really try to do that with all of my music, even when I'm writing new music for stuff after this EP. Like, I want to challenge myself sonically and lyrically and melodically to do something that I haven't done before. So I'm actually in this weird phase right now where I have all this new music that I don't know, what's going to come out and what won't, and I'm trying to figure out if it works together or if it's okay that they're all kind of different.
Yeah. I mean, that's the excitement of it all. It's just like kind of discovering how it's all going to come together, and like, you know, once that project is done, like just like going back in time, realizing like I can't believe I did this to sound like that, or like that track that I didn't think was going to make it like is one of the biggest hits. Like
Actually, Lola is a perfect example of that because when I first wrote the song, like I said, it was just me and piano. And I kind of was like, eh. It is what it is. Like, it's fine. And I played it for a couple of friends, and they were like, wait, this is really sick. And I was like, we'll see. And then I was actually in a meeting with this publisher, and he was like, play me stuff that you never play anybody. And I sort of panicked because I was like, I purposely always play these songs for, these are the ones I'm really excited about. And so I was just like running through my brain of like, what songs do I have? And I thought of Lola. And I played it for him, and he was like, this is my favorite thing you've played me all day. And from there, I started playing it more and more for other people, and people just connected to it so organically that I was like, wow, I guess this has to be one of the songs. And then obviously now I love it and I'm super proud of it. But when I first wrote it, I just was like, to be honest, I thought it was too personal. Like, I was like, who's
Yeah.
going to be able to relate to a song about a specific person? Lola, what? You know?
You never know, and that's the beauty with music, that it could be written for a specific person or like a specific situation, but like so many people are going through the same situation, so it's amazing.
Mhm.
So now that Lola's out, you're mentioning, it's part of an EP. Like, do you feel like now that discovery of Lola kind of helped you reimagine this EP? Like, did you go a different route now that you kind of fell in love with this song instead of like what your thoughts were before?
Yeah, so I was writing for this EP for like probably a year or two, but I didn't know that I was writing for this EP, if that makes sense.
Mm,
And Lola became the first song, and there's a reason why I put it out first because it really feels like the catalyst for the rest of the EP. And I haven't talked too much about this because not everybody even knows that the EP is coming out yet, but I'll say the EP is really meant to be about my journey over the last few years, going from somebody who was a little bit insecure, a little bit like I had a lot of self doubt, and I had, just gotten out of a pretty emotionally abusive relationship where I was told that I wasn't worth anything. And it took a couple of years of just really reflecting and doing a lot of therapy and a lot of work, to get to a place where I am now, which is really confident. And I feel like I'm kind of a bad bitch now. And so the EP tells that whole story over the last couple of years. And so Lola was really the first song because Lola was the moment where I realized that bad shit happens and that life isn't perfect. And it was a really hard lesson to learn. But once I did, I was so grateful because I don't think you can get to this point that I am now, being so confident without acknowledging that truth first.
right.
So I knew it had to be the first song because it really was the catalyst for me becoming a confident person.
Wow, that's crazy. I mean, and that's just an EP. Like, imagine what would happen when you're working on an album. It's like more self-discovery.
Mhm. I think about
Well,
that all the time. I'm so excited to make a debut album.
well,
I
soon your time will come for sure, for sure. But in the meantime, like I'm
hope.
excited for this new single, and I'm excited for more people to kind of get to listen to you and get to discover you and your sound. So congratulations with Lola, and definitely looking forward to that
Thank
EP.
you. I appreciate it, and thanks for talking with me. I hope people like the song.